I wanted to be able to help people get to the point to where they could make choices for themselves that was good and right. Hey there, my 5 faithful listeners and anyone who randomly stumbled upon this episode. My name is Lydia, and this is the Lydia Todd Pod. It's probably not a good idea to start a podcast because your last name rhymes with pod. But I'm here anyways. From spontaneous trips to special guests to deep spiritual conversations and everything in between, expect inspiration, stories, and plenty of laughter. Grab a glass of milk, settle in, and let's dive into the episode. As many of you know, I was a psychology major in undergrad, and so my kind of long-term goal is to get licensed as a clinical counselor and also a marriage and family therapist, and be able to offer those services either as my personal income or for free to people who can't afford it. But that will be decided once I have my license. It's kind of a long process in the US to get licensed, and so I've still got a couple more years of schooling plus getting my hours and then getting the actual license, like going through the process of applying and stuff with the state. And I'm bringing this up because I have this huge passion that I don't even know that I've talked about yet on the podcast that concerns mental health and all of the things that go behind the scenes where you don't see someone's mental health, you don't see what's going on in someone's mind, but people don't function well unless they're healthy mentally. And part of the reason why I wanted to become a counselor was so that people who are not able to think clearly, people who are struggling mentally, I wanted to be able to help them get to where they could think clearly, because people can never choose to do the right thing. They can't choose, or they can't even know what the right thing is if they can't think clearly mentally. And so I wanted to be able to help people get to the point to where they could make choices for themselves that was good and right. So for my first mental health episode, I am going to talk about a thing that I heard about the other day. I'm trying to remember what brought it up. It might have been a podcast I was listening to myself. It's called interstitial journaling. You might be like, what in the world is interstitial journaling, Lydia? I've never heard of that in my life. And I hadn't until a few weeks ago too. It's a practice that increases your productivity and your creativity by interstitching mindfulness throughout the day in between all of your tasks, particularly when you're transitioning from project to project is when you would be doing this kind of journaling. Some of you may already practice journaling, like every day you might write out bullet journaling. I've seen that that's a really big trendy thing right now on TikTok. Journaling in itself is a good way to think more clearly, because in your mind, most people can't lay out a bunch of words and text to look at once. So you think one thing and then you think the next thing, and it's hard to consider all of the previous things you've thought about at once unless you're looking at it on paper or on a whiteboard or something. And that's why a lot of people journal whenever they're trying to be really productive or do a lot of things or just be the most productive with this one big project that they have. So interstitial journaling, it is something that I think would help people who struggle with transitioning from one project to the next. So if you're a person who in one day you're doing 5 completely different things, like you're going to the office and you're helping with some business project, and then at lunchtime you're going to be on a phone call talking about your next book launch, and then after that you're going back to the office, and then you come home and you've got to worry about kids and their schoolwork, and then you are doing a side hustle. Like if you've got a bunch of different times during the day where you're transitioning from one thing to the next, it can be hard to let go of the thing you were just on and give your full attention to the next thing that you're working on. We often just get lost in procrastination. Like we have these fears of the next task that's to come, so then we linger on the previous task until we finally have to do the next task. we can transition from one task to the next and not even give the next task our full attention because we're just still lingering on what was just done. Whether you were thinking about, wow, that went so well, or I did that so poorly, or I forgot to do this and this and this, and that'll have to be done later. So you're not able to give your full attention to the next task because you're still focused on the last one in your mind. So interstitial journaling solves a lot of these problems. Some things that it does is it gives us a moment to empty our brains of the last project. Like, you can take a moment in between projects and say, this is what was done. It addresses the anxiety and the fears that you might have going into the next task by writing them down, naming the anxiety. And usually just writing something down and naming it is enough to diffuse the anxiety. It might not always be enough to diffuse it, but it is usually a good start. So interstitial journaling, it might seem kind of counterproductive because you're like, how is that going to give me more time by taking up part of my time of the day? But just taking 5 minutes in between projects and fully leaving the previous project so you can give your full energy to the next project, then you won't be spending the next 2 hours half committing to whatever you're doing. You're going to be fully invested into your next project during the day, and that is going to help you just produce better quality whatever you're producing. Interstitial journaling also helps you formulate the optimal strategy for your next project. I'm about to go over what interstitial journaling looks like so that if you struggle with procrastination between tasks, if you struggle with transitioning from one task to another without giving it your full attention, if you struggle with just not being able to clear your mind and give your full attention to a task, then try this. First step you're going to do is either get something like a notebook or your phone, your notes app, and in between your tasks. So say from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. you are doing your morning getting ready, you're getting the kids ready for school, you're doing your morning Bible reading, whatever you're doing. You have done that, you've completed that, and now you're ready to sit down and write the next 20 pages of your thesis. Whatever your next task is, you're going to sit down in between those tasks and you're going to do this. You're going to write out in your notes app or in your journal. You're going to write down the time. What time is it? What day is it? Then you're going to write a few sentences about what you just did during the day. You're going to include feelings of things that you've left unfinished. If you just wrote a chapter of your book and you're thinking, oh, I need to still edit. I need to still send this to my publisher. I still need to add some more character development in the beginning of the chapter. I still need to do this and this and this. All of those things you're going to write down. You have addressed them. You're going to come back to them the next day or the next time that you have set aside for that. And now it is put in this box on this paper or in your notes app. Then you're going to write a few sentences about what you're going to do next. So write about your project. I'm about to complete my homework for school today. I'm about to email all of my clients. I'm about to blank. Whenever you do this part, include anxieties or resistances you may have. So maybe you've been avoiding emailing your clients because you know there's this one angry client that you don't want to get back to. Write that down. Write down, I'm afraid that this person is going to be upset with me and I'm going to have to deal with it. Just writing down your anxieties is going to help you to realize that it's not as bad as you think. It might be bad, but it's not as bad as you are letting it dwell in your mind and it's not been verbalized. So you're going to put it down on paper, then you're going to be able to accomplish it. You're going to be able to actually confront it. And finally, what you're going to write at the very end is the best strategy for completing your next task. So if your next thing is to email all of your clients, then you can write your strategy is, I will spend 2 minutes each writing a response, and I will proofread all of them at the end and then bulk send them at the end of this hour. Or whatever your task is, you're going to write down the strategy that you think, what is my next task? Because you've just written down what the task is and what your fears are from this task. Whatever the task is, how do I think I can accomplish it in the time that I have? At the end of that task, you're going to interstitial journal again before your next task. So you're going to be able to write down, these are the things that I didn't accomplish. These are the things that are still lingering on from that task. Then you're going to be able to put it on the shelf until the next time you're able to give time to that task. That is pretty much interstitial journaling. I am going to try it for a week or so, and I'll see how it goes. If you already do a journaling like this, then please reach out and let me know how it works for you, or if there's other techniques that you use to make it better. This is just the format that I've seen from different mental health coaches based on different research that I've seen. This is supposed to be really helpful in cutting down procrastination and in helping you clear your mind and be able to give your full 100% to each task you have during the day. So you guys can go ahead and start being productive with your day. I'm not going to take any more of your time. Thanks for joining me on this mental health episode. I hope it helps you be more productive and have a clearer mind. See you guys next week. As we wrap up this episode of the Lydia Todd Pod, I want to express my heartfelt gratitude for you spending time with me. This really challenges my belief that I only have 5 consistent listeners. If you have any thoughts, topics, or questions you'd like me to explore further on future episodes, please reach out on one of my socials. I hope that our conversations have brought you inspiration and joy. If you have friends or family who might be interested in our conversations, don't hesitate to share the podcast with them.